Hello and welcome to the A&P. I am Alex Johansson and my co-host Patrick McCallum. Patrick,
Hello, everyone. How are you getting on?
we're having logical discussions about the state of the world. Let's get into it, brother. Heyo, Patrick.
How are you getting on, buddy? How are things?
Oh, I'm doing great. My tummy is upset, but I think I can still do this. So, we have
the curse of old age.
yeah, sucks. Getting old, would not recommend. So, we have not yet seen or covered anything by Jordan Peterson, and we've been covering communism, Marxism type stuff, and we have Jacob Howland being interviewed by Jordan Peterson, and I thought it was a pretty good piece. So we're going to let him cook, and then we'll put in some hey there howdies and some information and some interjection here as we go. So here we go.
We're going to have a paradisical society where all men are brothers and so on.
And everyone's needs are met.
Right.
Whatever the hell that means.
But here's the problem. It is going to be realized by human political productive action. And the difficulty there is, so first of all, it's not emerging organically, okay? It's a political constructivism.
So that means it's going to be forced on the people against their will, right?
Yes. That's the only way it'll work.
Right. So if there isn't a top-down pressure for that to happen, and it's not going to be organic in nature, then it's not going to be functional for the people because everybody will be put into the same box, right? And that means that whoever's on the top of that structure is going to become something other than communist or socialist, which is functionally the same thing. They'll become dictators. That is the path that takes.
That's the natural way it's always worked through history.
Got it. Okay. Here we go.
Like it's a great idea in principle, but in reality, it never works.
I feel it. Okay. Here we go.
So the best society will not emerge organically, but it's to be brought into being by man. Now, it's to be brought into being by man in a particular time and in a particular place.
By particular men.
Right, by particular men. And when you put those constraints on it, you drastically limit the possibilities within that society because it's got to be producible, it's got to be sustainable, it's got to fit the particular parameters, all these kinds of things. Add on to that the delusion that human beings are not, in fact, let's say, radically local beings who form the most meaningful bonds in particular ways.
Marriage, family,
etc.
town.
Right. But
right. So the nuclear family type structure, and I think the biggest point of that one was the sustainability. It fails to maintain appropriate sustainability, right? Which is why you end up with a dictator of whatever group, be it the smart people or the people who have the monopoly on use of force, or whatever group it is that tends to ascend in those situations. It'll start with like the universities, right?
Yeah, it goes against our basic human nature.
Right, right. We're not going to put out for someone who isn't homogenous in our society or culturally. We just will fight against it.
We've seen many examples of it try to work all the way through history.
Right.
And there's over 120 million people saying it doesn't work?
120 million convincing reasons that it probably isn't the best form.
That doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of
we've tried. Okay, it's kind of worked in China.
Well, the weird one. But they include some
China
capitalism.
is a weird. China has always had that different type of culture. It's kind of worked for them.
Right. Well, the Great Leap Forward with Mao, right? That was with the Red Books and all those kinds of things like that.
So
was introducing strange policies. But it seems weird that it is shown not to work, and then people say, well, they didn't do real communism. Like they tried to follow Engels and Marx as best they could, and it ends up starting the universities with the smart people who are putting it out to the proletariat as a good thing to do because they want to get theirs back from society and feel relevant, and that way they get to push their ideology down, right? And that's just functionally unsafe.
Yeah, but the sad thing about it is no matter how many times you try to show this to young people, it doesn't seem to sink in. I think the problem with young people is they're looking for a simple answer to a complex issue.
Right, a quick, easy fix with no nuance. Yeah, that's not going to do it. And then they're going to end up in a situation that they don't want to be in.
Yes.
So, all right, here we go.
We're universal, right?
Yeah, right.
And finally, you have this kind of divinization of man because after all, well, if we're going to realize heaven on earth. So,
Well, and
Yeah.
as you said,
Mhm.
we can produce a centralized authority, which falls out of the presumptions
exactly.
you just described, that's going to have the computational power
Yes.
necessary to pull off the task.
exactly.
Which is, well, that just
Huge.
Just that claim
Right.
is preposterous,
Right.
But I like the way you formulate
Yeah.
that, because what you're pointing out is that for the system that's proposed to make itself manifest, it has to meet a
Yes.
series of increasingly likely constraints.
Yes, exactly.
Increasingly unlikely
Right.
constraints.
Right, that's correct. It becomes more and more
Yeah.
unlikely the more you attempt to manipulate the concept, right?
Mm.
From each according to their needs, right? That doesn't work, because if you don't
No.
have a society where those in a meritocracy can exceed the others in the system, then those who would achieve higher levels of function and output cannot achieve those higher outcomes and outputs. They just can't. So you stifle the ones on top, and then everything just boils down to the lowest common denominator.
I think what people don't like hearing is not all people are created equal.
It's true.
And sometimes all you have to do is look around, say a classroom, for instance.
Mhm.
Some kids are really, really smart, really book smart, and some kids are not book smart, but they're really good at art, for instance, or
Right,
are
right,
really
right.
good at sports. Everyone is built differently with different tool sets.
Right.
So if you're trying to create a society where everyone is equal,
Mhm.
you're already starting off on a very shaky foundation.
Well, it's necessarily untrue, right?
Yes, it doesn't work.
I have two really good skills. I am loud and I am tall. Beyond that, I don't really think that I'm exceptional at anything, except that I tend to critically think and try and drive through problems, right?
Yes.
I'm the fellow that
And
needs
that's
the
a skill
mittens.
set in its own right as well.
Right. I'm the fellow that needs the mittens, right? And you're the fellow that doesn't spell so well. Like, I get it, you know? It's okay. I'm not going to hold that against you. It's just sometimes our thumbnails look a little weird, and that's okay. Right. But you have all the
Yes.
artistic talents in the world to make the thumbnails be functional, look good, and make our product look better, right? You know how to do stuff with hashtags. You taught me how to do editing stuff, right? I wasn't any good at it before, but now I'm pretty good at it. There's also a thing that we're talking about with, what is that guy called? What is his name? He was out of Michigan, and it wasn't the Overton window guy. It was the one who said, what was he on about? He was on about those who can function in a high space, right, are aware of their fallacies, right, and their inability to perform a task. But those who don't know anything about a task are going to assume that they can perform the task.
Wasn't that the young man that was on Dad Saves America?
It might have been. It might have been. Stand by.
I think I'm nearly 90% sure it was him.
All right. So if we put it together, those who don't know can't know that they don't know a thing, and they're going to assess their ability to perform a task to be much higher, right?
Yes. You say that all the time in every job.
Right. People getting promoted to mediocrity and stuff.
They are.
Right. All right. So you generally get promoted to mediocrity. Like, you go level 1, level 2, level 3 supervisor, level 3, you failed at level 2, you were great, but they can't reduce you to level 2 because that's a demotion. So they just kick you out to the side where you don't have any effect on process, right? And that's not the best either.
Yeah, which also leads to other issues, which has a massive knock-on effect for a lot of these companies.
Yes, it does, in fact, because you'll
see it quite a lot in NGOs is where I came across this the most.
Really? It's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Where you had people who were promoted past their level of ability.
I remember that nice lady that tried to tell all y'all how to do their job, and you're like, well, we've already got the route set. I don't know why you're changing everything.
But yeah, I've seen it, and not just in that particular, but I've seen it in quite a lot of different NGOs. Probably the same happens in all NGOs.
Right.
Where you
Nepotism
have
and incompetence.
Or a person who's just really, really good at the front line. Just really good at the front line. They say,
right,
okay, she's really, really good in this position.
Right.
So we'll promote her up. And everyone is kind of going, this is not going to work. You know, she's smart enough to dig the holes, but she's not smart enough to know why the holes have been dug.
So in the military, I've run into this problem as well, right? You have soldiers who are great at running guns and fixing trucks and performing basic tasks, and they don't want to get promoted to non-commissioned officer because they just want to do that job. But then they love
doing that job, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then they have a thing called the PQME, which is you get down checked because you didn't get promoted, like in a certain space or time, and you're like, but I don't want to do that job. I'm good at the space that I'm at. But they're like, if your career doesn't advance, we don't want you to be a corporal forever, right? We want you to become a master sergeant eventually or whatever, right? And it's the same for officers. Like somebody might be a really good company commander as a captain, but they don't want to go to a staff role as a major. And they're told, no, you have to go up to the staff role because you this and that. But if you're good at where you are, they should leave you where you are if you are satisfied with being there. And you're doing a great job there. You get evaluations and efficiency reports that say, this troop is good. This Marine is good. All right. This
but they don't
personnel.
So you have a choice in the military, in the U.S. military, to turn down promotions.
Yes, you can turn down promotions, but you will probably not be offered another one, and you'll get. Is it PQME? That doesn't feel right. There's another acronym for it, and
So
I'll remember what it
is it?
What's that?
You get sidelined or moved to a different unit, or what happens?
You are forced to ETS or end term of service because you haven't hit the promotional cycle appropriately. Wow. Yeah. So you can't stay running the gun. You have to be in charge of trucks that run guns, and then from there you have to be in charge.
If you're really good at doing that one job, wouldn't you think they'd be happy to have you doing that one job that you're happy and you do well?
You would think that would be the case, right? Yeah. I want my warfighters to fight war at the space that they're good at fighting war. I don't want a platoon sergeant that fails. I don't want a squad leader that fails.
That's the last thing you want, really, isn't it? If you want to, you want to function military.
If I have a cold-blooded killer on the line with a machine gun that's really good at his job and that's what he wants to do, that's where I want him. Yeah. Right? Yeah. If I have a guy that sets up Bangalore torpedoes as an engineer and does great job, just great work at doing that, do that. Do that. That's great, right? As long as you're up on your physical health standards and your medical file is clear, do it. Right? But they don't want that.
You want warfighters, as you're saying, warfighters who are happy at being warfighters. Wow.
Right. It makes sense.
I did not realize that they did that.
It's, I believe, EQRP, I think is what it is. That's what I think it is. PQME is for medical evaluations for soldiers. If they've been injured, you get a qualified medical examination.
I still can't believe that they would force the guy to keep going for promotions even if he doesn't want to.
Right. Well, the UK doesn't do that. When I was in service in foreign places, what would happen is we get a bunch of UK guys, and I met a dude. His nickname was Lefty. I'm not going to tell you
you're
why.
Telling me this. I don't. Yeah. Before we go to that story, I don't know if we can put on.
No, we're not telling the story, but he was a really low-ranking guy, but he had 17 years in service in the UK. But he was really good at operating the vehicle. He was really good on movement and operation and using his firearm and his weapons platforms effectively. But he wanted to be where he was as a low end, just under a corporal, whatever the enlisted member ranks are for the British Army. He was really good at his job. Really good. 17, 18 years in, was going to retire in a couple of years. You know, we break bread, have tea and biscuits.
Doing that one particular job. That's it.
Oh, yeah. And damn good at it. One of the best I've ever seen.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
This guy's perfectly happy doing what he's doing. Whatever it be.
He loved his job. He loved his job, Patrick. Didn't work a day in his life because he loved his job. You know? Loved his job. We used to have tea every day with that guy too. It's crazy. Tea and biscuits. They're not cookies, they're biscuits, apparently. So
you have to have biscuits with tea.
Right. Well, and crisps. He liked crisps. Right. He liked American crisps. He liked the Cool Ranch ones because he said it was like a Pop Rocks explosion of flavor in his mouth. There's only 4,000 things in this.
They're actually really nice. I have to agree with them. Yeah.
So addictive though. But then your face turns orange. So totally like Donald Trump's hair. So all right, let's get back to this. We're way afield, way far afield.
Right.
It has to do this. That's already hard. Well, you add 4 more impossibilities to that. It's like,
Right. And where I want to go with this is that kind of hubris about reason is, I think, well, first of all, it's a characteristic of the modern era because, you know, you have Descartes saying we're going to be masters and possessors of nature. If you read the Discourse on Method,
we're going to
do these things.
Form our own values.
Right. But that's sort of the end of the whole kind of decay. But if we go back to the early moderns, he even suggests in the Discourse on Method that maybe medicine will make all the infirmities of old age sort of disappear, which means we're not going to die.
I need some of that. I'll take some of that. Right. That would be good.
Yeah.
I would like that.
I've seen a lot of these writings over the years, and a lot of them are great for
Science fiction.
pushing toward, science fiction or pushing towards. Something will never come into reality. That there's not a possibility. Just human nature being human nature.
Right.
It's a great, as you say, great bit of writing for science fiction or dystopian futures or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, he's right. It'll never come into reality, unfortunately.
Well, people are not good at things, and they believe they're good at things, and then they cite these. It's very, very strange.
But I think what's unfortunate way our society works right now is everyone is told they can be the best they can be if they just believe hard enough.
Right. Well, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect is what it's called.
Yes.
So the Dunning-Kruger effect, where I have no knowledge of a thing, therefore I assume I can master a thing, right?
Yes.
Like if you go into a group of scientists and you ask them about a theory, what they're going to say is, well, so-and-so doctor over here might know more about this. My training is in this, but here's how I feel about this, right? There's a certain amount of conservatism in the delivery, right? Like I might be right, but I can think of many ways I might be wrong, but I think this might be the best course to take a tack on with this specific concept, right?
Yes.
And then there's humility in that, right? But there are people who don't know anything about a thing and say, well, I can do that, right? No, bro, like we're not all created equal. You may or may not be able to, but you just telling me flat out before you even tried a thing that you have the ability to manipulate the concept, right?
Or for the young people out there, we all have those friends who watches one or two YouTube videos on a subject and suddenly they're an expert.
They know all the things, right? And they can do all the things.
I saw one particular young man that cost him a couple of bob, but he watched a couple of videos on how to maintain your car. So suddenly he was an expert on how to maintain his car.
Oh, what's that show in the UK? They talk about Top Gear?
Top Gear. But this young man anyway started sprouting all this about his car.
So he thought he was a mechanic on Top Gear and he could just do all the things. Like he wants to go work on a McLaren today.
So we were kind of half laughing him on the Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And on Sunday morning, I was at the front of my own place doing the garden and I get a phone call from this particular young man. Any chance you could drive over to my place? So I drove over to his place. And in fairness to him, the entire thing stripped out. He stripped out filter, he stripped out this, stripped out that. Because he followed a YouTube video. Did he have a clue how to fix it, put the car back together? No. He had to ring a mechanic who knew more than him. Who knew more than me.
Right. Of course.
What I'm getting to is a lot of these young people, and a lot of people in general, think they're a lot more intelligent than they actually are. I think because they get basic knowledge and they get this, the rest of us come naturally to them because,
Well, yeah, but there's zero professional acumen in that. And then they don't learn from the failure. They just think that now there's a problem with the system.
Yes.
Right. So, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
In which case, by the way, the religious question is gone. Like Descartes' writing, he doesn't want his books to be placed on the index, which they were, nonetheless, and so they're read and they have to be, the Roman Catholic Church has to look at them. But the fact is that Roman Catholicism is irrelevant if we're not going to die, right? I mean, in some fundamental sense. But okay.
Well, whatever a human being is something completely different than whatever it is now.
But now I want to go back to Leo Strauss, who talks about the permanent questions. And what I've come to understand is the following, that the permanence of the questions arises from the necessity that Athens, so to speak, and now let's just take that to mean reason, like unaided reason, okay, can't be separated from the biblical alternative, which is the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
How did you figure that out?
Well, Strauss writes about this stuff. He writes about, this is not my ideas. He writes about Athens and Jerusalem. But what I'm claiming is this. In order for reason to function in a healthy way, it must conduct itself in the light of the alternative of religion, which is, like you can't understand everything on your own. There are massive mysteries, right? And there's this entire alternative way of thinking about things. So if you simply separate reason from that, you're going to get totalitarianism and kind of, the lunacy that we see.
Luciferian hubris.
Luciferian hubris is a super interesting expression, right? It's the concept of a fallen angel having the ability to manipulate in the world, right? To cause the downturn of appropriate reason and concept, right? And that's unsafe too. But faith without proof, like faith being 100% belief without proof, is also going to have some issues as well, right? So there has to be a balance in that, or it's difficult to reason through issues and problems, because there are things that are bigger than us that we can't understand, nor do we have the capacity to understand them, right? So that becomes... Go ahead.
But as he said there, you have to have a certain fear of God as well in your life in order to have some sort of balance. I fully agree, because I've heard Peterson on about that over the years, and he's right. You do need a certain moral compass, no matter what it is, to guide your life properly. Either to be God or whatever spirituality you think of, you need certain signposts to guide you towards right and wrong.
Well, yeah, there's a moral and ethical failing we have in our society, and I think some of that might be due to a lack of faith. I'm not sure. Like, that's one of those questions that's so much bigger than me. When I wrestle with it, it gives me a headache, because it is difficult to parse that out. I'm not the stupidest kid on the block, and I'm not the smartest either,
Anytime I've ever met young people who are having issues, you could say, over the years, a lot of them don't have one. It's usually down to lack of, well, I wouldn't say a lack of faith, but a lack of guideposts to guide them towards right and wrong. And also they seem rudderless, what they say long ago, rebels without a cause kind of scenario.
Well, more like rebels without a clue, but yeah.
Pretty much. The first thing you'll ask them is, right, you have a kind of religious background, or, you go through an intake form, there's different steps, but most of them will say, oh, we're atheists, or I'm this
agnostic,
or that. Usually some form of atheist. You're kind of going, all right, that's fair enough. And it's usually the kids who have very little or no faith are usually the kids who usually end up in difficulties. Is that the word I can properly say?
Well, right. They don't have a moral or ethical grounding to make proper decisions. It is very difficult to optimize your decision-making tree when you don't have some kind of guiding light.
Yes.
Right? And I'm not going to say it's Christianity or Islam or Judaism or whatever. The Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, take your pick. There's millions of thousands and thousands upon thousands of different faiths or beliefs. It's loads amount. Well, no matter what it is, you need some sort of guiding light. We're not going to say Christianity has all the answers, or Judaism or Islam or so on. Just find something that will give you guidance in your life. Either would it be meditation every day, or contacting a higher being, or whoever you want to call it. Just have some sort of guiding light in your life. Otherwise, you're just going to wander around aimlessly and fall into an awful lot of these unusual ideas that usually knock around the internet, as they say.
Right. Well, and then we get the non-religious religious fervor for concepts that are definitely not good for society.
Yes.
Right. Like certain kinds of concepts of equity as opposed to equality of opportunity break down society. When you say X and Y are the same thing, well, they're not. That's why they're X and Y, right? Unless you're specifically trying to force a distinction without difference. If you don't differentiate between the X and the Y, or the A and the B, or the Z and the R, or whatever, then you're not going to be able to make good decisions, right? So you get mutually exclusive concepts, right?
And it happens. We see it happening more and more now around Western society, especially around the G7, G20 countries, or even outside of that sphere at the moment.
Right.
Where society is, I wouldn't say a breakdown of values, but a breakdown of a lot of guiding principles.
Right. I believe the two concepts that are at opposition are the same, right?
Yes. And I think the sad thing is what a lot of these young people don't realize is whatever concept you can possibly think of, we've done it through human history over the last 25 to 30,000 years.
Right.
We've tried, no matter what idea you come up with, we tried it. Has it worked? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And when we say no, it doesn't work, guess what? It doesn't work.
Right.
Thousands of years of history to pull from.
Well, that generates cognitive dissonance, right? You fail to properly manipulate concepts, and you want to do things that have been shown not to work, as idealized as they are, like communism and socialism. Like they don't work, right?
And not being smart, does our present system work brilliantly? No, but it's the best of a bad lot. It's pretty much is what we have at the moment.
Right. Seems to be.
Okay, in the future, will we come up with a better idea? Probably.
It's possible.
In thousands of years' time.
And we have all the AI in the world now to help us, Patrick. You know?
Oh, yeah. Great. Don't talk about AI. Yeah, AI is as creative now as a bag of Smarties. But the sad thing is, that's another thing, is more and more people now are stopped thinking for themselves.
Right.
They stop picking up books. Now they're, as you're saying, just brought up nice slide in there of AI. A lot of people are relying more and more on AI machines to let them do the thinking now.
Right, we've
turned to come up with some wildly different problems as well.
Yeah, we've turned to the Turing machines to think for us. So not only are we not critically thinking, now we're having computers do all the thinking for us, or some kind of Turing machine, right? And then that breaks down our ability to get through concepts, and then we have cognitive dissonance, and we believe that things are true that cannot be true at the same time, which means we fall prey to more things that fall in the realm of mutually differing ideas, right? They're at 180 degrees. They just don't work together, and we try and stack more things together that don't work, right?
Yeah, and the sad thing is, what they don't understand is when they're dealing with AI, you're dealing with one, first of all, it's a machine.
But it's a
machine
language
doesn't
model.
have a soul.
Right, it's a language model.
But also, eventually, no matter what argument you have with an AI or discussion, it will always end up agreeing with you because that's what it's programmed to do. No matter how wildly, whatever concept you come up with, that is what it's programmed to do. Either it'll be ChatGPT, Grok, so on. There's millions out there.
Right.
They all end up being programmed the same way. They eventually agree with the customer, no matter what that silliness is. And do I think AI is going to be with us forever? We have no idea what long-term problems. We have already seen the beginning of a long-term problem with AI, but I think what we're seeing now is only scratching the surface on long-term problems.
We could always consult the Orange Catholic Bible from Dune. It says that's not good. The heresies will continue. Yeah. All right, here we go.
If you separate religion from the alternative that, well, man has reason and man is able to figure things out, and there are things that we can understand about nature and the world and science that aren't in the religious tradition, then you're going to end up with, say, Islamic extremism or something. You see what I'm saying? In other words, a healthy human existence is to dwell in the space of the permanent questions.
Right. It's the metaphysics, right? The questions you can't answer, but trying to work through them will help you be better as a human.
Yes.
It gives you those critical thinking facilities that we need as humans.
And that's the spark that makes us human.
Yep.
Is our ability to look at nature and wonder why and dig through the answers. And what I have a big fear of is young people especially are not thinking that well for themselves anymore. It's either they go along with groupthink, which is, okay, it can work out, say, in team sports, but when you're thinking about social movements, it can be really detrimental.
Well, so now we have a sort of social Marxism in the education system, which has functionally been captured. The United States system with the Frankfurt School was captured in the early 90s, 92-ish, right? And that has really gone a long way to telling our children in school what to think, not how to think. In the United States, we watch Dad Saves America. The Prussian model is not doing what it needs to do. It's supposed to generate factory workers. It's why they have bells in schools, right?
When you look at the Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, and other countries who have moved away the last couple of decades from the factory model, like what I'm used to and you're used to.
Oh yeah, better outcomes. They have better outcomes.
They come up with way better outcomes. Look at the scientists they develop.
The other part of that, though, is those societies are homogenous. Those are homogenous societies, right? It's difficult in other places to do that when you split the culture up so bad that people can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like they can't strive toward that because there's so many things in the way. Everything's just obstructed, right?
Yeah, but what I like is I'm thinking of the Swedish model at the moment. Because I watched a documentary about where they get kids to express what they're good at. As I said, some kids are not all created equal, and they find a space in society for those kids to function. Either be arts, which is very important for human society, I think.
100%.
when you have kids who are really good at science, to give them a space. Where kids are really good at writing, to give them a space, and it comes out with better outcomes.
Oh,
But
for
when we
sure,
look
for
at the
sure.
likes of the Irish system or the American system, whereas as you're saying, very regimental,
Mhm.
you have to get these marks to get here, to go there. You're going to isolate a lot of the other kids, which leads to other issues, which leads
Right.
to, as you say, different societal problems. Like they don't know which bathroom to use in some cases.
Yeah,
I'd be
they're
really
confused.
sarcastic.
Yeah. So
And
go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
no.
Oh, is it my turn? You're gonna let me talk, Patrick?
Yes,
Thank
your turn.
you.
There we go.
Much appreciated. When it comes to the ability to critically think and get through these issues and have real discussions, when you're told you cannot talk about a thing, it reduces your
Yeah.
ability to manipulate those concepts, right? And then you have to talk about it in secret, or you have to think about it for yourself, right? So a lot of our kids in their youth have helicopter or lawnmower parents, whatever you want to call them, and they're protected
Yes.
from everything, and they get out in the world. And then when somebody says something they don't agree with, they get sideways. They're like, well, that's not right because I know. Well, now you're telling me you know a thing you can't know, and we can't have a conversation, and then you're going to vilify me for having a difference of opinion, right?
Yes.
You and I have a difference of opinion, right? We
But
do.
the funny thing is,
Hmm.
I'm just thinking from my own point of view from Ireland. The really strict helicopter parents
Mhm.
are usually really from the conservative side, more so than the liberal side. I've found
Correct.
over the years.
Correct. But
And
then,
I find conservative. By the way, conservative parents. I'm not taking a shot at G, but homeschool is a brilliant idea in principle. But you
right,
also have to socialize your kids.
right.
As
Appropriate
when
socialization
those
is
kids go
vital.
to college, they're usually the first kids who join those clubs that you don't like.
Right.
Just saying,
Well,
socialize your kids
when
properly.
you let those kids out
There's plenty-
amongst the English, right? Whoo.
Yes.
You've heard that, right? Like the
I'm just
Quakers
saying
and
that-
some of those religious type groups on the eastern seaboard of the United States.
You
The Amish or
you
whatever.
have to have, even in the Bible, it mentions where parents have to cleave away from the kids. They have to separate from the kids, allow them to explore.
Right.
As I say, I understand the fear out there of a lot of conservatives where they are scared, they don't like the public school system. That's fair enough. It has its
Right.
issues.
Mhm.
But
sure.
there's also other ways of socializing your kids. Bring them on camping trips with other kids.
Oh, for sure.
There's
Yeah.
Groups out there. Let them experience different cultures and people. That's very
Right.
important too.
Expanding their horizons to let them see that there's other opinions
There's
out there.
plenty of church groups out there that mix different
Right. And
different
then you
religions.
get again to the
I know that
metaphysical
can be
question.
scary for some. Yeah, certain conservatives don't like that idea of mixing faiths.
Right.
Guess
Well,
what? In the real world, you have no choice.
right. And then there's the
That's the way the world
metaphysical
goes.
thing because you will think about concepts that are more difficult to manipulate and you will get through them. So,
Yes.
all right.
Yeah, and believe it or not, sometimes that actually strengthens a kid's faith.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
When they have to argue with another kid on behalf of their faith, guess what? That strengthens their faith most of the time.
Yeah. And it either deepens your faith or at least gives you a point to say, you know, they have a good point as well. So, all right.
Yes.
Here we go.
Which must be informed by these alternatives. And Strauss is very good on this. He says, there's no philosophical proof that the Bible is wrong, right? Like there's, like, you know, you could, like, you're always making assumptions that they're simply going to sort of, you know, prejudice the conclusions that you're going to.
Right. But there's some instances in there where you have to accept some brute facts, which may be super uncomfortable or they don't conform with modernity, right? They just
Yes.
don't. So, and that's super, super difficult. So
It is. It's a very difficult concept for people. But when people are uncomfortable, I think the more uncomfortable people get, the more they're open as well.
right.
Makes them open up to new ideas. And I know people out there are worried that, oh, my kid, if he goes to public school, is going to suddenly start going down this path or that path.
Right.
Well, most times, no. Most kids, I usually give kids a lot more credit than
Well, yeah,
their
if there's
parents.
a strong family structure and at the end of the day we sit down at the dinner table and we talk about what went on, then
Yes.
we can help support our children in their decision-making processes and help them
There's-
through issues, right? If you're
there's a
supportive. Go ahead.
There's a great movement out there. It's called Listen and Don't Judge. It's we worked through that with a lot of parents, and guess what? They listen to their kids, and the number one thing I said: listen, but don't judge.
Like
Because the minute you start judging them, they'll shut down, and that'll be the last you'll ever hear of any of their issues.
like
Ever
the
again.
people before profit, right? Your favorite?
Oh, yeah. But what I'm saying about young people is they'll fall into a lot of those traps, people
Right,
for
right.
profit or any of these socialist ideas.
Right.
They usually come from really rigid.
Well, the problem is those concepts are ideologically unsound, and it becomes a non-religious religious fervor to support those concepts, right? So
yeah, and it's sad. Yeah.
Alrighty, we are at the end of this one for Arc 1 with Jacob Howland and Jordan Peterson. For Patrick McCallum, I am Alex Johansson. Like, subscribe, help us beat the algorithm. We are out.